Welcome back everyone to another video tutorial. Today we're going to be working with basic color editing for Photoshop, and we're going to be pretty much working with models and trying to figure out how to best edit the images. Now if you don't already know, when you download the files that I'm providing for you all, we're going to be working with a zip file. And so zip files, in order for you to be able to open what's inside of them, if you don't already know, this is going to be the zip file. In your case, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to have like a little zipper on the icon. You're going to right click on it, open with, and put Windows Explorer. That's going to open up the zip file with the file that we need. Now that file needs to be removed from the zip file. I know a lot of files going on here, right? But we're going to drag this and bring it over into our documents and then throw it in there. Now for me, I don't need to do that because my file is already here and I already did that ahead of time. But when you double click inside here, you're going to see that there's a folder called Files Needed. Those are the files that we're going to be working with, these two images right here. And the first image is going to be this one. What we're going to be doing with this particular image is we're going to be removing this little strand of hair that's right here, and we're also going to be removing the blemish that's right there, and then this little strand of hair right here, and then kind of working with the colors and adjusting the image to kind of make it look a little bit nicer. And then we have this image over here where we're going to remove this door stuff that's going on here, remove this mailbox post, this black softbox that's in the way, and then just kind of mess around with the blemishes, the hairs, and then adjust the images. Now these images, in your case, you might not be able to open them because they are raw files, and a raw file is different than a regular image, as it retains details from the original image, so that you can be able to kind of boost up the dark shadows and change the colors around while still keeping everything relatively the same. So we're going to go ahead and open up Photoshop, right? When you open up Photoshop, you can open up this window as well and just kind of drag the first image anywhere in here really, and that should open up the image, and it's going to open up in Adobe's raw format to be able to edit the image in its colors and whatnot. So as you can see, the image is a little bit dark, which is called underexposed. So it's missing a bit of a shine, right? So we're gonna go in here into our exposure and just kind of bring that up a little bit. So as we go up too much, you notice that her nose starts to kind of really get a lot brighter. And we don't want to do something as crazy as like, I mean, that looks pretty okay at 75. Some of her dress is starting to maybe lose a little bit of color. So we'll go at 0.50. That looks just about right. The highlights, we can bring that up like crazy just to kind of see, and then bring it up to like 20. Our shadows, so this is where you can make the shadows a lot darker, but if you make them dark, you notice you start to lose detail within the hair, and so especially in this area right here. So we're gonna bring that up, and then you can already kind of see that she was wearing the earring and stuff, so that'll work pretty good at plus 28. That looks pretty good. And the blacks, again, you can kind of mess with them. I would like to drop the blacks a little bit to like -10. You can still kind of see that there, and it kind of gives it a nice rich contrast. And I believe right here, toggle to default settings, cycle between before and afters. So this is our before, and then this is our after. And right off the bat, we've already done so much to the image. It went from this like dark format to this like way brighter one. And then we want to also go into like our color mixers. So right here we have our hues where we can kind of change the colors of stuff. So currently we have purples to blues, and this wall is kind of purple, right? So you can select these blues right here, or these purples, and kind of change them around. And I like the idea of like having this almost more bluish color, because the blue and the yellow contrast really nice. So I'm gonna bring this over here into, let's say, 75 to give it this like blue hue, right? And let's see what this one does. It kind of changes into that baby blue. Don't really like that. I'm gonna keep it at 0. Now this is all suggestive, opinionated, I guess you could say. So it doesn't always have to be exactly the same, but this kind of works right here, and I kind of like the way it all kind of went. So I'm gonna close this color mixer, open up the details. This one allows you to sharpen the image a little bit. So as you bring up the sharpening, you can notice that it kind of retains or gives it a little bit more detail. I'm going to go into, say, 90 to kind of give it more detail in areas. Like, you notice how her eye is a little bit soft, but here it's starting to look a lot more sharper. That's due to the sharpness that we're adding here. And then just click open, right? And that's gonna send us over here to where we can now work with this particular image and kind of do a couple little things. Now, before we do anything to this image, since our first step is to kind of remove the hair and kind of mess around a little bit in her face, we want to make sure that we don't ruin the original image. And the way we do that is we can right click here and duplicate that layer, and then we can just put let's call it hair removal. And so we'll do that, and then we'll go over into our magnifying glass right here, and we can click in the areas that we kind of want to zoom in. By the way, if you press spacebar on your keyboard, you can move around once you're zoomed in, so you know exactly where you're going to be working on. So that's a good little technique, and I'm zoomed in here. Also, I'm going to change my reset it to my workspace to get rid of that timeline. All right, cool. So we are gonna be working with this little area right here. We're gonna try our best to kind of edit that using our basic tools, and then remove this blemish. So grabbing right here, it's kind of hard for y'all to see because for whatever reason it goes into my other monitor, but let me see if I can do this. Grabbing this right here, you'll notice that it says spot healing brush. For some of you, you might see different icons, but if you leave it pressed, you can see the spot healing brush, the patch tool, the red eye. All of these are brushes that essentially get rid of stuff. So let's go through them and see what each one of them does. So the first one is going to be the spot healing brush, and this one you can just kind of color and it gets rid of stuff. But notice that it didn't do such a perfect job, as you can now see this like reddish area that got left on her skin, and we don't want that. So the trick to that would be to maybe make a smaller line and do it in small increments. And again, it's not perfect. You can kind of see that there's a line there of smoothness that was kind of left like residue. Then we have our, again, and you can't show you, but our healing brush tool. The healing brush tool, that one doesn't let you just kind of color. For this one, you have to select an area that you want to sample from. And so if you press Alt on your keyboard, you get this like little cross area where you get to sample areas of a different skin. So let's press right here. And then you can see that now I have this like sample area. So I can select a little bit from right here, kind of color that in. And you're just kind of selecting areas from the skin to kind of sample out and get rid of areas in skin. So that one works pretty good. I like the way that worked. You can practice that and try it out. The second one that we have, or the third one, is going to be the patch tool, which is this one right here. And this one is kind of similar to, in the sense, you select the area you want to fix, then you move it to an area you kind of want to duplicate from, and then you just deselect by pressing Ctrl D or clicking somewhere else. Again, it didn't do a perfect job. It kind of left some areas to be workable with, but not too bad, not too bad. We can use this for other little areas here that are really small and just kind of clean up. Now, you don't want to go crazy when doing this because you could always mess it up and leave it worse than it originally was. So we'll go ahead and do this. fix that up. There we go. And then grab this one, fix that up. And then right here we have one last little blemish that we need to fix. For that one, we can go ahead and try the healing brush, where you kind of sample out a section. So I'll go ahead and press Alt in this area right here, and then just kind of color through it. Oops. And there we go. It's done quite a good job there. Next up, we want to work with this little hair removal. So I'll go ahead and make my brush smaller by going up here and making that a little bit smaller. Holding Alt on my keyboard and then just kind of coloring through. There we go. Maybe get rid of this little area right here as well. And again, here I'm just kind of removing some little blemishes. Everything else seems pretty good. Again, I'm using my spacebar to move around. Here I'm going to work on this little strands of hair. It might be a little bit difficult because we're working with a lot of hair in this area, but we're going to try our best and take it nice and slow. So preview a little bit area from right here by holding Alt. Kind of go down. Get a little bit of the lip. Color that in. Get a little bit of the edge of the lip. Color that in. Again, and then nice and slow. We want to make sure that and I'm constantly pressing Alt to get like new areas. So Alt to get new little areas that I can use to kind of color through, because this could be a little difficult to do. This is a little bit more advanced techniques here. But again, just nice and slow. And we just remove all those little blemishes. There we go. Nice and easy. And then we work with this areas here. Again, you can kind of see that we left this area kind of bad, and we're gonna fix that later on. But let's go ahead and just continue doing the rest of this area. So it's starting to look pretty bad. We're gonna fix that using the patch tool. The reason why it's struggling is because it's always trying to like match the colors that are underneath, and we have way too many hairs that it assumes the color that was underneath was the color of the hair itself instead of the skin, and so that's why it's causing those little blemishes there. But we're gonna go ahead and remove them anyways. There we go. We're gonna leave the rest of those little hairs there. Alright, so now we have these blemishes that we need to fix, and we can use that by selecting our patch tool, which is gonna be this one right here. We're just gonna select areas and kind of move them off to the side a little bit. Another thing that I like to do here is to maybe feather this out. Maybe go like 6. Kind of make it a little bit softer, so every time I'm gonna do this, select an area and then just kind of feather. Here we go. Press OK and just kind of do this. Feather. And I'm right clicking to do these like feather motions. Select somewhere in the outside. Feather. Let's do 2. Just kind of like this. Again, it's really important that you go slowly, because I can already tell that I've kind of messed up quite a bit. There's a lot more advanced techniques that we can like learn at a later time, but this will be for now. All right, so not perfect, but we'll work on it and try to get it a little bit better later on. But there we go. Looks pretty good, actually. Not too bad. Little stuff here and there, but we're not gonna cover that much into the really hardcore techniques here. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way, we can do some adjustment in the actual image. We're gonna go over to our crop tool that's right here. This allows us to kind of make the image smaller, bigger. So I'm gonna cancel that and kind of just adjust the size of our image. But you also notice we have a line here that says straighten, and we're going to just select down this straight line, and that's just gonna slowly adjust that so that it kind of gives us like a straighter image in the sense of like up and down motion. I feel like it might have messed something up here. Oh, it might be just my Photoshop, I think. All right, cool. So from here, we're now going to duplicate this again. So we're going to right click and put duplicate layers, and we're going to put person colors, right? And for this one, what we're going to do is we need to make a selection of the person. So we're going to go over to our quick selection tool and put select subject. And it's going to do its best to try to select the subject. If there's anything that needs to be removed, we will remove it. So like right here, we just need to add that. So just kind of click and click right here as well. We don't need this area that it's selected here, so we're going to hold Alt, and again with this one we have plus and minus. So with our minus we can kind of remove that area. Everything else looks pretty good, and we're going to press layer mask. This is a bit advanced, but in a layer mask, whatever is white, let's grab this for example. Whatever is white in our layer mask, you can see. So if I were to color here, notice how like it kind of only lets me color around her. That's because the layer mask, again, whatever is white we can see, but whatever is black is hidden, which makes it so that we won't be able to edit the background. Because this next step we're about to do is we're gonna go into our selective color right here. And with selective colors, we can select specific colors that we want to target or edit. So we're going to go with our reds. And then our reds, we can start adjusting this to kind of give some color pop. And we can essentially mess this up however we want and desire, right? And so I'm going to set these all to 0. So what I like to do is I like to kind of just give it a little pop. So if I go over here by like crazy, I can see that it's turning her skin really red. So I'm just going to go a little bit. So right around there, just to kind of create that. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but if we kind of zoom into her face, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. To kind of give it that nice little glow. Going to the magentas. And again, this is all subjective, right? Everybody has their preferences and what you all think works well and looks good, right? So we'll kind of go into this area here. I kind of like that. Go into the 20. So y'all can kind of copy these numbers if you want, or kind of tweak it to a desire that you like, right? And then here I'm just gonna go a little bit into the darks. So before and after, before and after. So I feel like that works pretty good, and this is just with our reds. So let's go into our yellows and see what we can manage to do here. So our yellows brings out a lot of more of that like red in the shadows. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up to like 27. Magentas, I don't want it to be like that, so we'll kind of keep it right around there at 7. That adds way too much yellow. I'll leave that at 0. And I'll put that at 5. And then for me, that's pretty much it, because We also have the dress here that we were kind of messing with. If you go to the before and after, we made her dress like very orangey. But I kind of like that. I'm gonna be honest, I do like that. So we're gonna put this as person color. And what we're going to do here is we're going to right click and put create clipping mask. That's going to clip this color that we just edited to this particular image that we have here. It's kind of confusing, but we did this with like our images by putting our pictures inside our letters. So now we're putting the color inside this image right here, because next we're going to be editing the background. So we're going to select a new one of this, and we're going to put duplicate layer, and we're going to put background color. We're going to bring the background color on top of the person. We're going to right click and create a clipping mask. And notice how right now it removed our color, right? We can't see it unless we hide with our eye this top image. But what we're going to do here is we're going to select this black and white, and we're going to press invert. So now she's hidden, but our background is visible. And so now we can select this, go into selective color, and we're going to go into our cyans. And now we can kind of mess around with our blues here. I'm kind of liking this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm not going to mess with the blues that much. I'm going to go into my neutrals. Something like that. I kind of like it like that. And then right click and create clipping mask. That's going to make it so that it doesn't apply to her, and it only applies to the blue color in the background. So again, like if we go back to the beginning and we put this side by side, look at the difference that we have created with just a little bit of color editing techniques here. So pretty good. From here, we're going to go ahead and save this image because we like the way it looks. We're going to go to edit. Well, make sure that you save it to your Creative Cloud. So file, save to documents right here, Creative Cloud, and then just give it a lesson 03 color editing. And then you can save that, or color editing 1, because we're going to have 2 of them. And then save that, right? And then once it's saved, you're going to go to save a copy. You're going to go to JPEG and save it into your lesson 3 basic color editing, and save a copy right there. You can title it here lesson 03 color editing, and then copy, and then save it. Make sure it's at 12 and press OK. Now I'm going to open the other image. Now for the other image, we're going to do the same thing that we did here. I'll let you guys kind of mess around with it yourself, but you can kind of tweak it however you like. Again, this is subjective, so y'all can do it however you want based on what you learned. I don't want to make the video too crazy. There's a lot of stuff that y'all can practice with. Color mixer, select our purples, kind of bring this over into the blues. I like it like that. Click open. Now the main thing that I'm going to show you guys here is how can we get rid of this, right? And so again, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to call it item removal, just so that I know. We're going to select this guy right here, which is our clone stamp tool. And again, just like the other one, we're going to make this a little bit bigger and make the hardness be at like 50%. And so just like our healing brush, this one also requires you to press Alt and select a target area. So we're going to select somewhere here. Bam. And then when we come here, you're going to see that it gives you a preview of what it's trying to do. And we're just going to try and color. Now when we color, notice how some of these areas are a little bit brighter. So it might be a little bit harder to do than normal, but we're just going to select areas from the door. So come here, bring it down here, and just kind of color in this direction. And in a little bit, we're going to try and fix it so that these colors can kind of blend a little bit. Okay, select some of this. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click now. We're going to put hardness at 0. Make the brush a little bit bigger, up in like the 160s. Hold Alt in areas that have similar color. And change the flow down to about 10%. The flow is going to allow you to kind of color through it until you can kind of blend those colors up. See what we're doing here? Hold Alt, and we're just gonna kind of color. Hold Alt until we can kind of get some of those colors blended. Oopsie. Hold Alt right here. Just kind of go in there, and we're just trying to blend some of these colors in. And there we go. We managed to kind of clear out that door. Now for this one here, we're going to try something. It's kind of new to Photoshop. We're going to select our lasso tool and just kind of make a selection over this. We're going to right click and we're going to put content aware fill. And it's going to tell us what it's trying to copy, and it did a pretty decent job except for the fact that the lines aren't perfect. But we're going to press apply and press OK, and then right click and put deselect. Now notice it made a copy of that layer, so what we're going to do is right click and we're going to put merge down. That's going to merge it in here, and then we're going to select this tool again. Just select a little bit of it and kind of make that line so that it goes up. Or we can select, I guess it's not giving me that much. Oh, I see. We still have it at flow at 10. So we're gonna, there we go. And then just kind of click to make that line. And then we need to disappear this line here. And then since our colors are all kind of messed up, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this at like 10, 16, select some blues, and then just kind of color in a little bit so that some of these colors kind of fade away. And again, I'm constantly pressing Alt to try to get rid of, let's make this a little bit bigger. To try to make the blemishes a lot easier. There we go. A little bit of some dark colors here. Alright, so there we have that, and then now our goal is to delete this one right here, so we'll do the same thing. Select this little section, right click and put content aware fill. It's going to do its best to delete it. Press OK, and then merge down. Now y'all can just duplicate the layer, so deselect this, duplicate the layer, and then mess around with the colors. So this will be person colors. And then just select subject and press your layer mask, and then mess around with the colors. You can go back on the video to kind of see what we did. and then edit this picture as well and see how your photo turns out. If y'all have any questions, just go ahead and put it on Schoology or let me know, and I'll make sure to try and help you. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.